Okay guys, for the third part of the lesson, we're going to have a look at something called a compound ion. Now, if you remember, a compound is something that has more than one element inside of it. So we're going to be looking at ions now that have more than one element, but they form one singular ion, which is kind of difficult to get your head around, but it's quite simple when you sort of understand the structure. Let's first of all look at the only positive ion that we're going to have a look at. There's only one positive compound ion, and that is the ammonium ion. An ammonium ion is made up of one nitrogen and four hydrogens joined together. So these hydrogens and nitrogens are all stuck together like this. They're sort of covalently bonded together. They're stuck. They can't separate out away from each other. But it's an ion altogether. So the whole of this ammonium ion has a 1+ charge. Do not try and find ammonium on your periodic table. This is not on the periodic table. There are no compounds on the periodic table. It is a periodic table of elements. And this ion is a compound. It's made up of hydrogen and nitrogen. And so we give it the name ammonium. It's a different name because it's a different substance. It's not the same as nitrogen or hydrogen separately. It's its own thing called the ammonium ion. This is a little bit complicated to draw. So what we draw this as is just NH4+. This is what you'd write if you have an ammonium ion in your compound, your ionic compound that you're using. Every single other compound ion is a negatively charged ion. They're all anions. So let's just go through the list. We'll start with the 1 negative ones, and then we'll go to 2 minus, and then we'll look at 1 3 minus ion that we have. Okay. All of these compound ions you are going to need to learn off by heart. So please make sure you know these ions and that you've maybe written them down in a table or you've got them drawn out somewhere so you know to keep going back to them, and you have to be able to remember both the names of them and the symbol of them. If you don't know the name or the symbol, then you're going to miss out on a lot of marks. A lot of these things come through practice and doing them again and again. And eventually they'll get stuck in your brain, just like they're stuck in mine. Okay, let's have a look at the first of our negative ions. So negative compound ions. Oh, compound ions. Let's have a look at these. So the first one is the hydroxide ion. You probably remember this from when you did acids and bases in year 7. The hydroxide ion is a really common ion that we come across a lot. It's in anything that is alkali. So things like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, those contain hydroxide ions. Hydroxide ions have the formula OH-. So if there's something hydroxide, it's going to have this OH- group in it. The next ones we tend to find in acids. So nitric acid, when it does chemical reactions, forms the nitrate ion. The nitrate ion. And the nitrate ion is made of one nitrogen atom and 3 oxygen atoms that have been joined together. And this makes a 1- ion. Okay. The next one we come across also comes from an acid. This comes from sulfuric acid. We have the sulphate ion. Now the sulphate ion comes from sulfuric acid, and it is the SO4 2- ion. That means it has 1 sulfur and 4 oxygens and a double negative charge, a 2- charge. The next one we've got is the carbonate ion. We see carbonate ions in a lot of solid bases. So if an acid-base reaction, if the base is solid, it is sometimes a carbonate. And these have the formula CO3 2 minus. That's 1 carbon atom, 3 oxygen atoms, and a 2 minus charge there. Lastly, we have the phosphate ion. So the phosphate ion is normally found in phosphoric acid. Probably are noticing a bit of a common theme here. These all seem to be things in acids and bases, and you're completely right. So the phosphate ion here is PO4. That's 1 phosphorus and 4 oxygens. And this one has a 3 minus charge. So here we have all of the compound ions that you are expected to know for your GCSE.